We are now recording the April 6th, 2018 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, Miss Misha,
Yes.
still snowing there?
No, not anymore. It's not. It's not. It's doing something. It was bright. It was sunny. It was freezing. And then all of a sudden it went dark. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm having a conversation with my Marla, my office manager. And I just glanced over, completely white outside. They said, oh, it's not gonna, stick. It's not gonna be a big deal. I mean, everything is coated. Cars are covered. I'm like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, it stopped. This was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And by I wouldn't say like last 15 minutes, it just kind of stopped.
Wow. Well, we're supposed to get not that much tomorrow morning, and I think it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, your guys are supposed to get more of it / rain. We were supposed to get hit with that as well, but it's now further off the coast. And the one that we might get one on Tuesday. That's up in the air as well. And that one, I think, has more snow than anything with it. So we'll see.
At least our temperatures are starting to get a little warmer.
Where are you guys?
We've had days that have been 60, but we're now generally at the 40-degree mark.
Yeah, so are we.
That's above freezing.
We're in the like 40, 45.
Yeah, but we're supposed to get 1 inch to 2 inches tomorrow, and then it's supposed to stop snowing and be like 40 degrees. But we got winds coming tomorrow again, too.
Wow.
Winds this week.
Was it last night?
Just seems like the weather on the east.
Last night, we had winds. No, the night before we had winds so bad, it toppled trees and power lines, and garbage cans were gone.
Crazy. It's been cray this year.
That's how it was for us last year here in California.
Around this time?
I don't know around this time, but I know we had my basement flooded last year. That's
no!
Yeah.
Yikes.
Last year we had a lot of rain. We actually had a lot of rain in April and May even.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, we had.
Now you send it to the East Coast, only we're still getting snow.
Well, it seems like the East Coast has a lot more extreme weather.
It does.
In
it does seem
temperatures.
like it's really roller coastering.
But Dennis, extreme weather for New England is, 3 or 4 feet. Or, 5, that's extreme.
Wow.
It'd salad be 6 inches.
When we get 8 to 10 inches, that's not extreme. That does not close when you get 8 to 10 inches around here.
Well, problem is in Seattle, no one knows how to drive. The only people in Seattle that know how to drive in the snow have enough sense to take the bus, and so you have everybody that doesn't know how to drive is out driving.
So we're going to change the subject. Yvette, you're going to tell us about your new client and the old accounts receivable that they have.
Yeah, well, I got hired to do a cleanup job for this client, and when I was cleaning everything up, I noticed that his accounts receivable, he had a lot that wasn't paid. So I looked into it and talked to him about it. He had some invoices back from 2016 and 2017, just a few, but they were substantial amounts. I think it was anywhere from, I don't know, maybe 13, 15, 20,000.
What kind of work? What kind of client is it? What kind of work?
He's an architect.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, so what's going on with these? He goes, well, we might have to just write them off because they were from, I go, write them off, He goes, well, I don't know what else to do. And I said, you're going to write them off, Yeah, he must be rich. One of his invoices was like $13,000.
Right.
I told him, what you could buy for $13,000, And then he goes, well, what do you suggest? I said, well, maybe we should look into a collections agency. You know, I've never dealt with collections because most of my clients don't have that problem. I don't have that problem either. So I put in on Facebook, one of the groups that I'm in, you know, I think we're all in that same group. I put in there asking people, you know, how many of you have used collections? Can you recommend? I have a client, blah, blah, blah. And so I got a couple of responses, and most of them said Callbox, you know. So I don't know anything about it, but I did speak to someone there today. They called me. I mean, I called them, and then they kind of briefly told me, I guess it integrates with QBO really well. Okay.
Nice.
And what they do is they're actually not the collections agency. What they do is they review the receivables, and whatever's late, they find a collections company that is best suited for that receivable, or for the company that, you know, is requesting it, and they get the best prices, and then we choose, and then nobody gets paid. Well, Callbox is free. Okay, the collections agency, when they collect, that's when they get paid. If they don't collect, they don't get paid. And so then the collection agency in return pays Callbox.
Oh, got it.
And there's also a partner program.
Right.
And so we would get, if you're a part of the partner program, then you get paid as well.
So you get a percentage of that money too.
So
That'll be nice, keeping him up to date going forward and bringing to his attention that, hey,
yeah, he
you
just
guys haven't paid.
he when my client and I last spoke, he asked me, can you please find something for me, because yeah, you're right, because it is a substantial amount of money. I mean, maybe if it was $100 or something like that, but this is in the thousands.
Who was doing his books before?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I say, who was doing his books before?
Himself, and he's gone through, he says, a couple of bookkeepers and stuff, but I saw some crazy stuff in there. Who was doing this? Were they on drugs or something? Yeah, and so, but I cleaned it up very well. I mean, I'm pretty proud of that file now, because it's really nice, you know. And when I submitted it back to him, he just really thanked me up and down. You know, I could explain, you know, he goes, now I could really understand my reports. You know, there was all these kind of weird, like in reconciliation discrepancies, somebody posted like $28,000 worth, one lump sum, like into that account, you know. And I'm like, that's you know, when I was reviewing, before I took on the project and I was reviewing the reports, I was like, what in the world is that? You know, but he said that he actually did that. He said because he couldn't balance his credit card.
Oh my God.
So,
we used to call those plugs.
I know. Yvette, I have an architect client. I've been working with her for, oh my God, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
And when we first started, there were a lot of billable charges that weren't getting billed. So she wasn't sure where she was. We were able to clean everything up to the point now where we can be proactive and look
Right.
versus trying to clean up a crazy mess. And I've implemented a few things that have helped her track her projects.
Wow.
And right now we're utilizing Airtable to manage the projects when invoices come in, matching them up. We've set up an account for when there are expenses that we can get, that we pay for, that we can bill to the client and get reimbursed for it. So that comes out of overhead versus having it in there, because we know we're going to get that money back anyway. So we set up a bunch of different things up, and we're tracking stuff a certain way so that we're able to capture all that stuff. But you know, we don't really have a lot of collections, but for that, I would generally start off making the calls myself before kind of trying to go 100%, because it could just be that he either never invoiced them, or they never got the invoice. It's the first step should be, let's reach out to that client. Yes, the project may be closed, but reach out to that client and see did you forget to pay this bill? Did you never receive it? We just wanted to know because it's still
Right.
open on our end. And
Right,
it's
I can't just
that
send out
way.
one invoice and expect that to get paid.
I'm glad you said that because I'm going to tell him that. Before we sign on to anything.
Well, I want you to look at something too, Yvette, called Funding Gates.
Funding.
That is an AR management software app.
Yeah.
And
Oh yes, I remember
they're
that.
good used to, yeah.
Yes.
Because a lot
Oh, you know
of
what?
site where it tells you what to do, it gives you collection letters and all of that. So you may want to set up a precedent that, like, you know, once the client gets 60 days out, you're going to try a couple of things, resending the invoice, send some collection letters, and then not do the call box until like 6 months later after they haven't responded to all of the things.
The one thing about Funding Gates that I remember you using it was really good, but they changed their model and their pricing. So look at your total collections, and generally if he's going to need collections, to see if it's worth it financially. It's really good, but double check to make sure that, because I know their pricing structure changed. I mean, they were trying to do like $600 a month or something like that.
No, that's a little much, but I thought
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
And I don't know,
resources and stuff like collection letters and things
Exactly, right.
that you
So
can use for free.
exactly.
he at this point, I remember having this conversation with him about it. You know, I told him, look, collections, they're probably going to want a portion of it, you know? And he goes, I don't care, because if I take him to small claims, I'll probably never see the money. Number two, he said I could put a lien on their house, and the only time I'll get that money is if he sells the house, or if he, you know, I told him, well, sometimes when you have to apply for credit and they see the lien, they got to get that taken care of before they do that. Yeah. He goes, but what are the chances of that? He, you know, so he felt like even if he gets like half of it, he'd be happy. You know?
Yeah, but I would suggest doing the friendly manner first.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just reaching out and saying, double checking to make sure. Oh, just, you know, we're in the process of, we're auditing our files, and we've noticed that, you know, you appear to have an outstanding invoice, and we wanted to follow up. The invoice was dated this day, and this is the invoice number for this particular project. Did you receive that? And if not, is it possible that we could you know, submit that and try to collect that payment?
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Misha. Great advice there.
Yeah, you'll want to look at those collection letters. They have different styles and flavors. Some of them super friendly. Then they start getting a little more threatening.
Exactly. But I think a phone call you'd be surprised how
friendly. Oh, absolutely.
A phone call would get you.
Don't be like accusatory and
Yeah, I'm considering adding that as a service. Maybe I should add that as a service and be my friend. Good afternoon. This is Misha. I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so, and we just, you know, wanted to follow up with, you know, an invoice. Did you receive that? And then it's like,
I love your speaking voice.
And then it's just, well, we just wanted to make sure, did you have an address change? Or because we sent it out to you on this day and we haven't gotten payment. I'm just wondering, could you research that for me and get back to me? And then, you know, when you start there, and then you're like, look, I'm calling because I want my money. I want my money now.
I'm sending.
Don't make me send my friend over there. Don't make me send my friend over there.
All right, we're going to move on to Linda. Linda's going to talk about reconciling bank accounts and how to classify them. Check, cash, MasterCard.
Yes. I just worked with someone reconciling QuickBooks Desktop, and no one ever taught them QuickBooks, and they're an accountant, they understand accounting, but they're trying to pick it up on their own, and it's really kind of difficult because sometimes things are hidden underneath. And I'm just thinking, when you receive a payment for someone, there's a place, you have your customer, how much you got, and then that you would apply it to an invoice, so it shows that payment either paid the invoice in full or paid it partially. But there's also a place where you say what payment method was used. And she didn't understand how to choose anything. And she didn't understand that it was under a button to the far right called Other. So you could do cash, you could do check, but then there was, I think, debit or something, and then there was another Other. And I explained to her that whole list about how you had MasterCard, you had Visa, you had cash, you had check, you had maybe an e-check and ACH. You also would have American Express. And that it was important to have that attached to the payment, because when you would save and close that payment, the payment goes over to the undeposited funds, and there's a little, you click on make a deposit, and here are all a copy of all of your checks and Amexes and MasterCard and Visas, and the date you actually ran the credit card. And she was grouping checks and credit cards together, which of course, when they show up on the bank statement, checks would show up separately. You might group a bunch of checks together, and you want to always group them together the same way as you take them to the bank, so that that dollar amount would match what the bank statement said. And she was mixing American Express with MasterCard and Visas. And so and they aren't processed by the same part of the merchant processing company. Bank of America merchant processes their MasterCard, Visas, and Discovers all together as a bunch on a certain day. And then the American Expresses are grouped together on that same day. And so I was able to show her how to do that, so that when she looked down on her bank statement, the different deposits, when she would look in QuickBooks, they would be the same total amounts that was on the bank statement. And the other thing is, she had not been aware that there's always a lag. There's a day or two or three when you process the credit card and you run it, let's say MasterCard, Visa, Discover. Usually that money, if I run it today, Friday, well, let's not use Friday. I run it on Monday. Usually that money MasterCard, Visa, Discover will go in on Tuesday or Wednesday. And I usually just do that when I would put it in QuickBooks. So I would say, oh, that payment was 5/6. I want to put it in on the 7th or the 8th to know that. And she ran $7,500 in Amex charges on March 29th. Well, we at first thought she had received duplicate payments that really didn't happen. But it turned out, because they happened on March 29th and they were Amex, and Amex typically takes an extra day more than MasterCard, Visa, and Discover, it turns out even though they ran those on the 29th, they didn't get in the bank until April 1st or April 2nd. But she had no way of knowing that, because she doesn't have access to the bank account. And she can just look at the little charge slip they ran and know, well, this was the date we ran it. And so I was sharing with her about that. And I said, usually I would just go ahead. I would look and see, when did I run it? You could see that. And then look on the statement, when did it get in the bank? Was it 1 day or 2 days later? And put it in automatic, just kind of consistently do that. And then know that, because she was like totally freaking out. She thought she was minus, and we couldn't tell if they were duplicate payments or not. And they were. What this particular company does is, they will take a bill, an invoice, and split it in half. And they say, pay the first half, pay the second half. So a lot of times they get two payments that are the same dollar amount. And they're odd, like $67.53.44 and $67.53.44. And you wonder, oh, did I receive double? Well, no, and that's where the dates are important too. It turns out she had received one on 3/8 and the other one on 3/12. And then she had received one on 3/13 and the other one on 3/15. And so she wasn't paying close attention to the dates. And actually the second payment in each of them had been done on 3/29.
Were they reconciling her bank accounts?
Well, we just
The
did
bank
that.
statements?
Well, but anything that went in on 3/29 that didn't get into the bank until 4/1, we won't get that statement until the beginning of May.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But previously, when she was mixing them all together, seems it would be hard to do a reconciliation that way.
Yeah, well, she only been doing it for 1 month before this. She just,
Oh, she's brand new to QuickBooks.
Okay, well, that's good.
yeah,
So
she
that
is,
makes sense. So she didn't have years and years and years to clean up.
no,
And
no,
does her merchant provider take a fee before it goes to the bank, or does it take it?
no, no, they take them out lump sum at the beginning of the following month, so that's okay.
That's nice. That's super
So
nice.
and she said, well, how would you ever know there was a lag time? And I said, well, it probably took me 5 years to figure that out.
You tell her years of experience of doing this stuff.
That's why I'm so good. I'm old. So anyway, so I told her, I said, I think what would be best is if instead of having me come in, like to do some consulting once a month and helping with this, if you had me come in for like an hour every week and you save them all up, and then I'll walk you through doing it so that then when it comes time to reconcile,
It'll be much easier.
that she asked for read-only access to the bank account so that then she can go in on April 2nd and see, did that Amex deposit actually get deposited into the bank account? So.
Nice, nice.
You don't want access where you can move money around or anything. You don't need that, and you really don't want it. But so anyway, I guess she hadn't slept last night, so she was really glad we solved it and we found the money and we figured out why the money didn't look like it was in the bank, but it was in the bank. I mean,
so she was actually going online and looking at the bank balance and looking at what was in QuickBooks, and it really wasn't matching. On the 29th, it looked like those funds were not there, but they were just in transit.
That's right.
Got it.
So, and I actually have that written up somewhere. So I'm thinking that's one of my tips, and I may go post it as a tip out on my website. And I've decided I'm going to just stick with the desktop since I'm so good. You could blindfold me and tie my hands behind my back and I could do desktop really well. Whereas with QuickBooks Online, and you know, there's so many people now that are trained on the QuickBooks Online and love doing it. I'd just as soon pass that business on to them. People like Yvette, I know, and Sarah. I just sent Sarah. She's selling 4 licenses of QuickBooks Premier 2018 Desktop and 3 licenses of QuickBooks Premier 2018 Desktop to 2 of my clients. So
nice.
And they're all going to be on QBox.
That's great.
So,
That's awesome. That gives you the ability to always have access to the client's files, and when they call you up and they have a question that needs to be answered today, you don't have to worry about that accountant's copy. You don't have to worry about backing up and restoring and did they do work while in between and different names of the file and all of that. You just simply go on and you can see what's happening. Whether or not you need to do anything to change or not, you can go and see
if I look at it, I can tell them what to do.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's hard for people to explain it. They're trying to describe it using words and, you know, all the different.
Oh, absolutely. I need to see what's happening before I can really give an answer. In any case.
Yeah, and the other thing that had happened is that when she went in to reconcile the bank account, the beginning balance wasn't right.
That makes it difficult too, yeah.
I said, no, don't let that freak you. I said, let me show you something. She said, oh, I was trying desperately to find it. I said, it's very simple. Reports, banking, reconciliation, discrepancy. And there it was, the check that the CPA had deleted.
Oh my gosh, and it was a CPA that deleted it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stories like that, I've worked with some.
So anyway, so it was, and I said, then we're going to go, I said, so what we do is this, we go back to banking, reconcile. We changed the date back to the date of the last one. we put the ending balance being the ending balance, which it was last month, which is what the beginning balance is this month. And then you change the next 2 days to 228, 228, you go over, and lo and behold, the thing that got unreconciled or deleted and was never re-reconciled is sitting right there, highlighted. You click it, zero.
You're back to zero and all is good. Yep.
Just knowing that. I said, and you would never know that.
Right.
Unless you have 5 or 10 years experience.
Yep. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So anyway, so I'm
Couple
helping.
things I did want to mention about QBO today. My QBO, when I go and log on, my clients, I have QBO accountant and have clients on my version. Clients are not showing all the time. I don't know what's happening, but I go on and it just says, oops, something's not right. But you can go into the green box and hit your drop down and find your clients there, and then it comes out fine. So in case anyone else is having that issue, I don't know if it's just me and my crazy computer, but there is a workaround, and your clients are still there. No need to get freaked out.
I don't think it's your computer. I think sometimes with their upgrades, you know, they're always updating it and upgrading it, whatever. And because of that, things like that happen. Some weird things have happened to me too, but then I go back later and
it's fine.
everything's back to normal.
Yep. Wanted to mention that there is now QB desktop apps. I put the link in the group. Sarah says there's always been a place for QB desktop apps, but previously, since QBO has been, you know, their main focus, I have never been able to find the desktop app phone. And
it's
now
been hard.
Yeah,
they don't make it as simple.
So Ernest, I want to say hi to you. You're new.
Hi, Ernest.
This is your first time. Hi, how are you? Do you want to give us a little bit of an overview on you? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Sure. I'm going to try to do it between the announcements at the airport.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ernest. Hi, Ernest.
Hey, so, you know, I've been in the Intuit market for like, I don't know, 15, what is this, 2018? 18 years doing as a reseller, SDK developer, and currently I focus mostly on QCube resells.
Ah,
Oh, nice.
right.
So, and you may know that I'm the programmer that Sarah talks about when she says her programmer.
Oh, you're the
Oh,
We've heard so many great things about you.
That would be me.
I don't know where she is.
I don't know where she is either. I expected to see her on the call today.
She's usually here, so something must have come up.
Yeah. So that just means you have to come and join us again.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was actually, you know, I saw it. I can't remember. I'm pretty connected to her. I think I saw a comment or something on Facebook, and I'm like, I want to be in that group.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Well, we might be able to use you for something ourselves.
You never know. Yeah, I was working on pulling together Cube and Power BI today. Some pretty documentation around that. It's a great solution, but.
So what's the difference between Cube now? When Chuck Vigeant put it out a couple of years ago, what's the difference now between Cube and Cube then?
Yeah, so Chuck actually just came out with version 6.3, and he did a pretty significant rewrite. And more importantly than that, he also, particularly around Power BI, he went out and created a huge number of additional templates for that. So he's been working behind the scenes for 18 months to build this version.
Nice.
Because I know before it was primarily focused on contractors and job costing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I have a kind of a whole variety of customers. I have a food company that sells sausages in Hawaii. I've got a company that does 20 different real estate REITs. We do consolidation for them.
Wow.
We've got a company that sells beef jerky and is just using it for sales analysis. I don't remember them all, but those are some of them. Professional services, obviously. But
Absolutely. All righty. Well, we are about out of time for today. Time is up. We will be back same time, same place next week.
All right.
See you all
Yay!
later.
We keep talking.